Good morning, lovely people. Welcome to Nat's Knackers Yard. And what are we up to today? Well, I've made a bit of space in the garage. I've not sold it. There. Today I want to get the carbs off and cleaned on this SV650. So I've made a bit of space. Before I crack on with that though, I have on the diversion taken off the bars. Yep, taken off the bars and got the crash bungs on it, so that's really lightened down the look. I say I've done it on one side because I couldn't get to the other one. Now I've got a bit of space, I might see if I can rattle through that today as well. So back to the SV. As I mentioned before, it's got a hatchback, which is nice, and it's a perfect hatchback to give you just enough height to do very, very little. So I'm going to take it off complete. Be right back. Right, so that's the lid off. Two hoses, I don't know what you can see, yeah, kind of see, but two hoses, vacuum hose onto the tank and the fuel into the pump. Seems a little bit loose. Obviously you're going to flick some fuel when you're doing that. Flicked it onto my hands. It smells awful. It smells really varnishy. Right, what do I recognise? That's definitely an airbox. Doesn't matter if we're on a V or a straight. I could just whip the whole thing off, but while I've got it, I will just check what condition it's in. I am horrendous at losing things, so I keep little trays hanging around. Nothing worse than not being able to find the screws or bolts you want, because you put them down somewhere safe. Right, 4 screws. That doesn't look too bad at all. I do have some oil, some pod oil that I got for the bobber actually, that I'll bang over that. It smells remarkably like that. Yeah, in fact it's the same colour, so it has been done at some point. Right, be right back. Right, so a couple of seconds later, that's the stuff that I use. And all, it is a little bit, it's a bit worrying to start with because it sprays pink, which was a bit of a shock the first time, but it does clear out. Right, so what's on, what's off. Let's see if we're attached or where we're attached. Right, so I've got a hose closed off hose clamp. It only seems to be attached at the bottom here. Hang on. And an empty one there, so it should have been attached there. Let me grab you so you can see. Right, so got a blanked off there, attached here, empty hose, presumably that was on but with no clip, so it's pulled off. Right, that's all I can see. I shall I know that's the vacuum for the carb. Right, happy. Yeah, real happy. And first exposure of the carbs, and on first inspection they actually look quite clean, which is nice. I've started to label stuff. I know it's slightly anal, but it's the first time I've done a V-twin. I'm going to get confused. First mystery is this T-pipe, because nothing on that end, nothing on that end, and following the pipe through, there is nothing on that end either. So it's not attached to anything. and I'm tempted to just yank it, but I'm bound, the second I put it away, I'm bound to find what it should be attached to. So yeah, what I'm going to do though is I can see, right, what am I doing? I'm following the logic learnt from straight twos and straight fours really. So the carb will be mounted against, or on a normal, i.e. a straight, we've mounted on the manifolds into the actual engines. Now, because this is a V-twin, rather than all being in a nice straight line, I've got one there, and presumably one on the other side somewhere. That I will have to get to somehow, but I will work it out. At which point, that should be what is securing the carb in. So I'm going to undo that one, see if I can find the other one. Right, and welcome to An Idiot Tries to Work Out a V-twin. Right, what have I got so far? I have got 2 overflows, so pipes that lead nowhere. So one on the rear carb and that one on the front carb. I have main fuel line, so obviously that's the fuel pump. In on that, I'll say pump, I don't actually know if it's, yeah, okay, so fuel in, split off to the main line, down, split left, split right into the front and rear. So I'm going to hook that off there to leave that pipe attached, because I don't want to piss around with it too much. So overflow, I have a, go straight into the manifold there, which is a little bit strange and only on one side. Yeah, it's starting to make some sense to me. It is new, it is strange. I've just swapped the ignition cable and stuck that underneath. Yeah, that was bugging me. I am finding strange things like leading wires that don't lead to anything, which is always a bit interesting. Right, so I think I've got this worked out. I'm going to unclip that. I need to find the other manifold bolt onto the front from the front carb, and then see what's going on. Cool. Right then, so logically that's both manifold clamps undone, the front and the rear. Logically it should come out, because it should just be held in by those, but let's see. I didn't get movement. Ow, 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 ow. Bit me. Ah, that'll be one. And the other one as well. Sweet. Right, I'm going to have a bit of arsing around with space for cables, because it's a sports bike and they like doing that. Not helped by some electrical stuff plugged in, which is weird. What electrical is plugged into a carb? No idea. Has it got some sort of engine management? I have no idea. Right, so I've got some power into it underneath. Pump plug, oops. I've got some fuel spares. Ah, that's a drain. That smells like varnish. It's awful. Right, so that's a drain off that one, so there must be one on this side as well. Right, so I have, let me bring you round so you can see, because this is all new to me. Hopefully people watching might be new for your V-twin experiment. Right, so I do have, I can't see because of the sun, so I do have power going to each carb, which is new on me, but hey, everything's new on me with this. I have got it off. Does look quite clean in there. I am going to have to be careful not to drop that crap into it. I'll take the time now to just give it a wipe, wiping it away from the surface into the engine. Cool. Right, so I've got power plug there. Yep. Right, so I'll undo the plugs. I'll label them up as I go, and then let's get this carb out. And we have a hole where a carb used to be. So that's the two chokes, front and rear. I've covered up the gasket on that side because I had to scrape crap off the cables, off the throttle cables. They are going to need a good clear out. It has got a sticky throttle, actually. You can see why. It's just got schmeg over the cables, so I'll give those a dose out clean. Yeah, the cables that I don't quite know what they do, but I have paired them off. So that's the rear, front and rear. This one wasn't attached, and indeed it has broken. Now I don't know what that is or whether or not I can fix it, but we shall see. So here's the carb itself, which is pretty grotty on the outside, has to be said, so I'll give that a bit of a douche out. I'm going to whip the bowls off and give them a good clean out, and a bit of a surface clean as well, because you can see, contributing to why the throttle's sticking. Oh, there you go, it's just grotty. It just needs a good dose out. Yeah, where are we? So I'm going to get my arms covered in petrol. Whoop. It's really yellow, that fuel. Yuck. Try not to get too much over the driveway. What was I saying? Yeah, so let me put that down and let me grab a pointer. Now it's a V-twin. Twin to me says the same, so I should be looking at symmetrical, and I'm not, because that's one set of the plugs and I think it's jammed into the plug at the other end, so I'm going to have to see if I can find a way of, sorry, yeah, there we go, make sure you're pointing the same way. Sticky outy bit, no sticky outy bit. Let's have to see if there's a way I can get that off the plug and back in. Failing that, replace it. But first things first, let's get those floats off, float bowls off, give them a good clean out. Okay, so float bowl one off, or sorry, the rear one off. Yeah, pretty hideous actually. So that's going to get a good clean out and a good clean over. I'm going to whip out the jets as well while I'm here. Doesn't look too bad on the inside, but I'll give it a good dose out. Cool. One down, one to go. Just as an indicator, I thought they were pretty nasty, but actually that's hideous, and it's really taking some scrubbing to get out. So nothing overtly wrong with the bike, it's just been static for a while and it's just bogged out. So any fuel rushing through is picking up that schmeg on the way through and running it through the engine, so that would explain the roughness. So it's not just in the float bowl. Actually, I have to say the jets are, or certainly on the last one, were actually pretty clear, but that said, they're quite big jets on this, so it's not surprising. But it's a bit of greenness, but actually, I don't know how much you can see it. It's not, I'm trying to, there you go, you can see some of it around that edge, around here. So yeah, it's pretty hideous. So strip this one out, half a can of carb cleaner, and then see what happens. That's assuming that I don't just throw it on the floor. Right, catch you in a bit. Pretty much impossible to read the jetting on this. All I can see is 37.5. We shall see. Cool. And on the pilot jet, 17.5. It's a bit more legible. Right, two really good dig outs later, and they did really need it as well. So what am I going to play with now? I don't have a matching pair. This was in the actual connector, all pretty blued and mucky. I need to find a way of fixing that in there, which I think is a bit of steel stick, to see if that'll hold it in. I did get it to catch a second ago, so I don't think it's going to be too much for drama. Cool. And there we go, after a fashion. after a fashion that should hold. So that's going to take a hell of a long time to dry because it's relatively thick as well. So that will be me for the day with this carb. Considerably cleaner than was. Hopefully I'll remember how to put it back together. Yeah, what I am going to do though, while I think of it, is just try and lube up the some of the cabling a little bit, because it's, you can see how sticky it is, there's crap stuck to it. So yeah, give those a clean off because they were sticking. So that'll be the last thing for the day. Certainly on this, I'll see how my playtime clock is going, see whether or not I can finish off and do the other side of the diversion today as well. Yeah, cool. Happy days. Catch you later. There you go, that's curing nicely. I've worked out what it is. It's a carb heater. As usual, I tend to look these things up after I've played with them. I don't know whether or not that's going to fix it. It was running without, so I'm not overly concerned. I'll keep monitoring it because you can just buy a replacement. I found one for about 16 quid, something like that. So I may well end up just replacing it, but I'll see if that holds and see if it works. Cool. Let's see if I can show you the front mudguard. Okay, so here we have the front mudguard so far. So gone for the same or similar paint effect as I did on the bobber. So that is satin, black satin undercoat, some silver spangle decorative stuff on the top, and then a candy coat over the top. This time gone for a really deep red, a blood red, rather than the blue that actually appeared quite green by the time you got on the bobber. Yeah, if you look at my earlier video, I tried something a little bit different. I did try a clear coat between the silver and the candy coat, and it didn't react well and went all crackly. So what? Any paint is recoverable if you've got the patience to rub it down and get it down to a base level again, which is exactly what I did with this. This candy coat takes a while to cure, so you probably won't see a lot more of it, at least for a week before I start messing around with it. As far as curing's concerned, the best way to tell whether or not something is curing or cured is by sniffing it. So it giving off the smell is it curing. So once it stops smelling, it has cured. It is a considerably better way of testing it rather than sticking a dodgy mitt on it to find out whether or not that's okay. Right, cool. What else have I done? I have managed to get enough time to get those bars off the diversion, so it's now on the crash bungs, which looks stonking. So the only bit that I've got left on this is I have ordered some extra lights to go on the side hangers to make use of them more than anything else, and I'm gonna take the sawn off this and get using it again because I just love it too much. Had some interest in the bobber, actually quite a lot frankly. All seem to be fairly serious. I did have one guy that was on for a top-up swap, so a swap plus, well, he was starting at about 450 I think, for a 99 phaser 600, which, you know, MOT, full service history, etc, etc. I was really tempted because it was a good looking bike and well looked after, but frankly don't want another project at the moment. I want the space to be able to do this one, particularly now the weather's now the winter's drawn in and I'm doing a lot more work in the garage. So what, tomorrow's job, mount that carburetor and see if it works. Yeah, and I think that's about it for the day. I still need to do a bit of shopping for that, for an exhaust, because that one's fun. It makes lots of noise and spits fire, but that's not really what it's designed to do. Cool, I'll catch you later on. Thanks all. Please remember, if you haven't subscribed, please do, and you will get click on notifications and you can follow the journey of this beast and see what happens with it. Cheers all, I'll catch you later. Bye bye.